team, welcome back to the Rutledge Agency Training Center. We actually have Integrity Partner John Kight on this call with us, and he's kind of going over mindset and the mindset of a sale. Really not necessarily even a sale, but building relationships. And so he teaches on this and how I came into the business, which when we were face to face, and kind of taking that mindset into virtual. And so take a listen and learn something so that way you can build your business.
Most of you guys know that in my career, GPM was my top carrier. Okay. It was not my top commission product. Okay. Like it's not your top commission product, but it was in the ballpark, and the advantages that the GPM gave me, they were just too good not to roll with it. So I did not worry about a few percentage points on commissions or anything like that. I went ahead and I was committed to doing what was best for the client, which served me really, really well, because I was able to replace a lot of products that had been written prior to me calling my A leads. Sometimes I was first in the home and sometimes I wasn't. So anyway, excited to be with you today. I'm going to launch into sales training, maybe do a little bit of team building, but here's my whole thing for today. Okay. I want your engagement. I want to know, based on the comments, I want to know what questions you have that pertain to your business. And I want to know, are there any things that were taught today that really stood out to you that made an impact? If so, maybe type a little comment and emphasize that. But anyway, I do desire for our calls to be for people to engage big time. Okay. Okay, so let me start off. A couple of things that are on my heart that typically I wouldn't start off a sales training this way, but I will, because this is our team. So number one, are you selling too much? Okay. And by the way, guys, I'm going to apologize for my coughs. Okay, I am getting a lot, guys. I'm so much better. I feel 1,000% better. Sometimes my voice doesn't sound better. And if you hear me coughing, just know that, hey, I'm on the upswing. So are you selling too much? Okay. Sometimes I think that based on lack of cash flow, it could be lack of cash flow, or it could be lack of number of appointments. But when you get that person, when you get in the home with that person, or you get them on your screen, your whereby, whatever tool you use, if you're doing virtual, are you trying too hard? Sometimes I think that in my sales career, my sales started going really, really so much better when I realized a few things. Okay, I mentioned the first thing I mentioned yesterday while I was interviewing Harold Lassiter. Okay. And that is when I realized that a lead was not retired until that person said no to my face. Okay. Because sometimes, or a lot of times, the way people acted on the telephone, the fact that they were skeptical about anything over the phone, it didn't matter that I had a form they filled out. They felt like I was a scammer or whatever. And guys, the older the client that you talk to, that's not a reaction that is untypical. Okay. And it's not that I wasn't able to book appointments with skeptical people. I certainly was, but there were some people, especially like the person that I talked about yesterday morning, who I called on a Saturday morning, and it was like, the world had ended because I had called them on a Saturday morning, and I was trying to somehow take advantage of them or scam them or whatever. But when I went to their door and I knocked on it and I showed them the form they filled out, they were able to meet me. So I was typically, when I was out in the field, I was typically dressed in a golf shirt and Summertime, North Carolina, high humidity. I was in nice golf shorts with loafers. Okay, I definitely did not wear long pants in the summertime, but my golf shorts were down just above the knee, so it wasn't like these tighty short, whatever. It was very classy, and I never had a problem with it. Okay, this time of year, I always had a couple of comfortable khakis that looked nice and that I wore with golf shirts or a pullover, not a hoodie like this. Sorry for my dress this morning, but like a golf pullover or something like that. Okay, North Carolina winters usually weren't all that bad, where you had to dress up like Nanak of the North. Okay, so that was my number one thing, was just to realize that, hey, there was still life in the league, even if they treated me rude over the telephone. Now, some of you guys, you're out there thinking, well, I work virtually, and the leads that I buy, they're 6 states away. Well, hopefully, if you understand the industry that you're in, hopefully you're starting to build a team. Okay, so one of the biggest tips that I can give you today is wherever you're getting consistent leads, I don't care if they're A leads or they're aged leads. Okay, I don't care. But if you're working a different state that you live in, I would be prospecting to try to find an agent or three in those areas where you own leads. Do you realize that they can be boots on the ground for you? Do you realize that that they're, like it or not? Okay, the virtual people are going to come out of the woodwork and scold me for saying this, but like it or not, we're not in COVID anymore, and I just think that there's a good percentage of people that would rather do business like this face to face. Okay. Now, doesn't mean you can't work virtual, but what it does speak to is when you see the lower close ratios of virtual compared to the close ratios that you hear from people like me that were face to face. Okay. Virtual is wonderful. And there's some of you got to work virtual. There's some single parents out there. Working virtual is not like it's just a convenience, and I like being at home and I don't like being in my car or whatever. Okay, but for some of y'all, working virtually it's mandatory. Okay, so thank God that we've got virtual for you to be able to make that work, and you can go out and serve middle income America. So, but as I'm talking right now about things that I learned that had a big impact on me, number one was, again, when I bought a lead. Okay, I didn't get all down in the dumps because they said no over the phone. I didn't get down in the dumps because they treated me rude. I knew there was still life in that lead. Now, for those of you guys that are investing in leads, let me tell you the good news. There's life in your leads, okay? But we've got to start working and being intentional on hiring people in the states, maybe even the very counties that you're working that's so far away from your home base, okay? Because they can be people that work behind you, okay? They can work your leads and they can work behind you going face to face. And I believe that there's a big opportunity out there. I don't believe that the world wants to go virtual, okay? Again, I believe that there's some people, there's good reason for it, and I believe that virtual is now here to stay. It's not going to go away. But I don't believe virtual is right for 99.9% of every person in the world, okay? So go find the people, whether full-time or part-time, they want to get out and they want to work their general area and they want to make good money, okay? It would be a great partnership for you. Another thing that I realized that made a big impact on my sales is when I relaxed. I just relaxed. I stopped trying to book appointments. I stopped trying to make sales. What I'm getting ready to teach you guys, I'm telling you, for somebody out there, this is going to be like massive. Okay, let me even see if there's anybody out there. Okay. All right. Thank God there's somebody on this Zoom. Okay. One of the biggest things that I discovered. And I say I discovered it. Nobody ever taught it to me directly. Okay. But I remember that it was Saturday morning. Saturday mornings were typically like I would organize my A leads on typically on Friday afternoons. Later in my career, I started making my dials late Friday afternoon just because I learned that people's mindset, like they were happy. It was Friday afternoon, right? And so I learned to start making my dials on Friday afternoons and then finishing up on Saturday mornings. Okay. Um, but I remember it was a Saturday morning, and I just remember getting to the point things were going great. I was making money. Okay. When I think what a lot of people, when you start off investing in leads, you're investing typically money that you don't think you have. So it's a faith step for you. And you make your dials, you book your appointments, and it's like every week you may slide by the thinnest of margins, but you're living in anxiety because it's like what if it stops working? What if nobody says yes? What if I don't book any appointments? What if I don't make any sales? And Kali, I'm spending, back then, you had to, I forgot how long we had to give a commitment for, but it was like, it was like we couldn't shut our leads off, right now. And like, okay, no, we had to, I was in partnership with somebody that was mailing, they were investing money, mailing mailers in areas that I only paid for the lead. So the good news was I didn't have to pay for the mailers. Okay, that was really, really good news. Okay, but because I wasn't responsible for the mailers, I did have to give them a certain amount of time, and I forgot what the time frame was, but it was a commitment, like it was a partnership. For those of you guys who don't understand how direct mail is, or how an A lead is created, welcome to the big world. You're learning today because you need to know, like, you're in partnership. Like when I learned of all of the things that Equus did for me as an agent. See, I came from the world of being a broker. I came from the world, I had to pay for my own mailings. You want to talk about getting into a situation that you don't want to be in. I remember dealing with a company out of Atlanta on my mailings. And I remember, like, dadgum, like they wanted $7,500 every time you turned around. Like, we need another $7,500 deposit. We need another $7,500. Like, $7,500 deposit was their favorite word in the world. And so when I talked to Barry about Equus, and he said, "Hey, so our agents only pay for the leads that come in." And I went, so there's a fixed price based on the average return rate. They don't have to pay for their mailers. They don't have to put their skin in the game for the rate of return. Dude, like, that's the most incredible thing in the world. So when I started with Equus, like, I never took that for granted. Okay. Back to my point. I'm sitting there on a Saturday morning. Things had been going decent. I was making money. I was revenue positive. And like, I just got to the point where I said, I'm tired of being anxious. I don't want to be anxious anymore. Like when I sat down with, and you guys know my story, I used to get like 10 brand new A leads every week. When I sat down with those leads, I prayed over them. I spoke my affirmations over them. I was ready to dial, but there was still anxiety that, like, oh my goodness, like, am I going to book my 8 appointments today? Am I going to book, 4 to 5 appointments on Monday and 4 to 5 appointments on Tuesday? Is it going to be a picture? And I just got to the point where I was like, I'm tired of being anxious. And so I remember the very day when I made up my mind that, I knew my phone script. I didn't have to have it in front of me. I knew my phone script, but I just said, you know what, man, I'm just going to start enjoying the process. done this enough to know that the numbers work themselves out. I had gone through a few dry spells. I had gone through an 0 for 12 streak, and then the numbers always correct themselves. The numbers always correct. And so I just remember getting to the point where I just said, I'm just going to relax. I'm going to call up this person and I'm going to have a conversation with them. I'm going to introduce myself as their field underwriter. And I'm going to let them know that I'm the one that's going to be stopping by their house and bringing them the information. For you guys, if you're virtual, it's going to be, hey, I'm just introducing myself. I'm the person that's going to be getting you the information. We need to set up a time. This is going to be my process. I don't have to come to your house, but this is I'll email you my credentials. I'll email you a link to click on. All you have to do is be with your spouse and click on the link at X number of time, and then my job is to get you the information. So, like, I just remember it was the reason I remember it, guys, is because it made a difference in my whole life. Like I was just like, I'm tired of being anxious. I'm tired. So my goal was not to book an appointment when I made a dial. Understand that my goal became saying hello to somebody that I've never met before, introducing myself, and just seeing how that was going to go. Like, so when I made my dials, that was the attitude that I made my dials. And I'm gonna tell you physically, my phone skills and my results, I believe from that day forward got better because I took myself out of feeling like I had to like say the right thing and book the appointment. And if I didn't book the appointment, I didn't say the right thing the right way, and I beat myself up over it. No, I didn't do that anymore. So I just remember being relaxed and calling people up. Hello, Bob. My name's John Kight. How are you today? I'm doing fine. Or, if they were from the up north, they would typically say, I'm doing fine. Who's this? Who are you? Who's this? Hey, my name won't ring a bell. We've not met yet, but I'm the field underwriter that got assigned to that request that you filled out and sent in. You or your spouse filled it out and sent it in, but it's on that property, 333 West Oak Street. Looks like your mortgage is $386,000. And when you took that mortgage out, I know how they change hands quickly nowadays, but when you took it out, it looks like it was with Wells Fargo. Do I have the right Bob Johnson? I mean, that was like, I wasn't trying to, like, no sales techniques, no trying to get them to say yes 6 times in 2 seconds. None of that. Myself, Bob, I'm the field. So your form got put on my desk. I'm the field underwriter that gets you the information. I'm going to be in your area on Monday and Tuesday. What's typically the best time for me to stop it off to you, Bob? Well, can you mail it? Can you send it by, attach it to a bird's, like what? Like, listen, I got all of them. All of the same objections that you're getting, right? I just relaxed. I let Bob know how I could get him the information. I let Bob know what my job was. And ultimately, I let Bob know to relax, that I'm not the life insurance salesman. I remember saying this so many times, but I remember telling Bobs of the world, or the Jones of the world, relax. I'm not going to show up at your house wearing a bow tie. I haven't read, the latest Tony Robbins books on the 18 ways to secure a sale or to manipulate your client. Just relax. My job is, because you filled out the form. Okay, my company requires me to get you the information that you need on protecting it. Typically, if you're like most people, typically, were to pass away, or even sometimes worse than that, if you were to get diagnosed with a critical illness. Bob, I'm not sure if you know anybody in your life or recently that's gotten diagnosed with with cancer and they've had to battle that. But typically now, as you've either refinanced or you've bought a new home, typically your mortgage would be in jeopardy if something were to happen to you, if you're like most people. And so I'm going to cover some ways. I'm going to go over a program that these A-rated life insurance companies have in place through products that do not require physicals, but these products also have added protection in that in the event you got diagnosed with anything critical, anything chronic, or anything terminal, to the degree that they affected your life expectancy, you would have the option of accelerating your death benefit while you're still living. So, Bob, I can't tell you the importance of putting this protection in place if you're like normal people. Okay. Also, Bob, under normal circumstances, this coverage typically costs less than $100 a month. For most people, their affordability is around $85 a month. And typically, we're able to create an incredible protection plan for $85 a month. Now, do I do that on every call? No, but I'm just going through just my attitude. Like, I relax with people. See, I think some of y'all, you get on the phone and it's like your whole goal is to book an appointment and you got to do it this way and read your phone script and you can't talk to them or you can't relax with them. I can't tell you how many times, again, I worked Eastern North Carolina. It was the fastest growing county in North Carolina is a county called Brunswick, which is just south of Wilmington. But I remember just looking at the cell phone numbers, and I would type in like the prefix, and I would go, well, man, this couple just moved down from Massachusetts, or this couple just moved down from upstate New York, or whatever. But I just remember when I got them on the phone, I would make a comment, hey Jimmy, your prefix says you're probably up somewhere upstate New York. Is that where you're from? Is that where you're moving down from? And we just start conversations. And if it was yes, I'd find out, hey man, you a Buffalo fan, you a Bills fan? Back when I was in the field, the big rivalry in hockey for us as Carolina Hurricanes was the Buffalo Sabres. So I had guys, I can remember phone calls where I was booking an appointment, but I had like a 6 to 7 minute full blown conversation about hockey or football. I remember having conversations about snow. I would let them know, hey, I'm down in Carolina, man. Sometime now, about twice a year, we'll get prediction for snow, but by the time it gets here, it's either ice or just cold rain. So tell me what it's like to be up there where you are. I think you got like 3 feet of snow last week or something. And man, they always wanted to talk, but it was like I was building rapport with people on the phone booking appointments. So the reason I'm starting off this training this way this morning is I just wonder, are some of y'all trying to follow somebody else's phone script so much that it's taking your personality out of it? Tired of being anxious? Like I don't know. For me, it was when I relaxed. Okay. And when I relaxed. Now, I will tell you that spilled over into the home. Okay. I never wanted to go into the home and feel like I was selling somebody. Okay. And so a lot of y'all know my story. I'm not preaching at you when I say this, but when I started my insurance sales, I didn't think I was going to be good at it. And so I had to do it because I had to make money for my family. So I remember praying to God, and I told God, I said, God, I don't think I'm going to be very good at this, but here's my deal. Okay. I'm going to have conversations with people that about why they filled out this form. I'm going to have conversations with people about life insurance with living benefits. And during our course of conversation, if they give me any reason, any reason at all to pray for them or pray with them, I'm going to do that. And so for me, it was like a game. When I booked the appointment, I was going to their home to have a conversation with them at their kitchen table. And I was looking for like, hey, like, and I had people, listen, this was the funniest thing. I had people that told me things that they would admit to me. They would go, I don't know why I'm telling you this, because I've never even told anybody in my family about this, or I've never even told my closest friends about this. I don't know why I'm sharing this with you. I knew why. Why? But for me, my goal was not there to, like, you hold the pen, I'll move the paper. Like, we're gonna get your signature. What's your social security number? Like, I think some of y'all, I think you're so uptight that I think you're taking people that ordinarily would buy life insurance, and I think you're scaring them off. Okay, I think that's probably, I don't know. I don't know. So, for whoever needed to hear that, I think those couple of things about my attitude on the phone and my attitude in the home. Um, I hope that helps you. Okay, my in-home presentation was simple. There to build rapport. I was there. The rapport is building like and trust. There is no need in going to the step of sales or anything under the quotation of sales, whether you're virtual or face to face. There's no need to go to that next step if you have not built sufficient rapport. Okay, you're not there yet. It's like you're supposed to preheat the oven to 375. Like, you can't preheat the oven to 200 and put like you're not following what you need to follow. Okay, so the way I built rapport with people in the home was like a doctor making a house call. Okay, I'm a professional. I'm not a salesman. I'm a professional. I'm bringing a service into your home that your home needs very much. So it's like if you're sick and I'm a doctor and I'm making a house call. So building rapport for me was a lot like that. And so I was courteous. I smiled. I complimented them on their home. I started learning about people when I pulled into their neighborhood, or especially when I pulled into their driveway and I could see their home and how they kept their home, the style of home it was. I could tell a lot about them if they had the Crisco can on the front porch with the cigarette butts in there. Or is their yard scattered? Is my client 67, but their yard scattered with all of these little kid play toys? Do they have the old swing set in the back right corner of their backyard that's kind of overgrown, where maybe their grandkids are grown or their kids are, whatever? Like I would start learning about people long before I knocked on the door, or long before you virtual people would get them on whereby. Okay, y'all understand that building rapport, building that like and trust is so important. And I'm not saying that every person should build rapport like a doctor making a house call, but for me and my personality, that's what made me the most comfortable. So I'm there for a specific purpose. I also I don't have all the time in the world, okay? But I do have people skills and I do have good bedside manner, meaning I'm going to go into your house and I don't have to make you think that I'm in a hurry, but I've got good, like, I certainly ask you about the pictures. Hey, before we get, okay, tell me, who are these pictures? Who's in these pictures? Okay, I saw the swing set in the back right corner of the yard back there. These the people responsible for that. And it was amazing how they would just light up, and they love going to what we in the final expense world call the Wall of Fame. Okay, their grandkids, right? And so building rapport is so important. So for me, I always I wanted to know that fine line between the rapport's been built. Now we need to move. Like it's time. I'm here for a specific reason. I'm not making a visit, and I don't have anything to do for the next 6 hours. Okay. Um, and so I would typically be the one that would initiate. Okay, Mr. Miss Smith, I do have to scoot here in a minute, so I want to get this information to you. Where do y'all feel the most comfortable? Y'all want to sit in the den? Y'all want the kitchen table? You know, guys, I filled out applications on the back of Chevy pickup trucks. Okay, I don't care. I was never one of those people that like made you go to your kitchen table. Okay, I always let you pick where you wanted to go to. And so my in-home presentation, once I got to wherever they wanted to sit, my in-home presentation, and this is well documented. You guys know this, but it was income, assets, existing insurance. Income, assets, existing life insurance. Okay, guys, if you write down anything and you adopt anything about your in-home or virtual in-home presentation, guys, please take them through the conversation of their income. Guys, when you go through these 3 steps, I promise you it will bring out what their need is. Okay, so income, husband and wife, I don't care if it's bi-weekly or monthly, what's the income? Okay, that typically tells me a story. Assets. Bob, before I even launch into the whole protection part of it, okay, I don't know if you can qualify health wise, or I don't know if you can afford it income wise. Okay, but do you have anything in place that if you would have passed away last night, do you have anything in place that would act as life insurance? Okay, do you have any money in the bank, sizable money in the bank? Do you have an old 401k? Do you have an investment portfolio with the Edward Jones guy down in your downtown there? So I would find out that, and I would document it. Okay, and then number 3, do you have any existing life insurance? Do you have any insurance that you're paying for? Okay. And I will tell you that one question probably had me sell more life insurance. Guys, I replaced, so it was not that I sold life insurance. I just helped people that were buyers of life insurance. I helped them get the protection that they wanted and they could qualify for. And so income, assets, existing life insurance. Now, before I get to the health part of it, let me tell you guys this. Now, this could be another big thing for y'all. Okay. Are you showing prices? Are you, because you're caving into them and their desire to want to know how much it costs, are you caving in and are you sharing prices before you have found the need? Let me tell you this. Your biggest job in how you serve your clients is finding their need, not your need. Stop selling. Stop it. I know that you can find out their need, and I know that you're anxious to find out their need. Okay, that's probably what's costing you sales. The very best field underwriters, even when they can see the need, they learn how to ask the right questions that lead their clients into discovering the same need. I don't know if I can say it any better than that. Finding the need Finding the reason why they have you on the phone is huge. And then once you find that need, once the need is communicated, then it is all about their budget. Their budget is king. And if you don't learn how to act and be an advocate for your client, you're going to cost yourself sales. Okay. Your job is not to sell a life insurance policy, and your job for dadgum sure is not to sell a life insurance policy that costs a cent more than they can afford. Okay. You need to be their advocate. You are there representing life insurance companies to them. You're right now formulating the plan. You're formulating their situation so that you can represent them to the life insurance company. You're there to help them put together their application for consideration whether that life insurance company is going to accept their risk or not. Do you understand how important budget is to people? Do you understand that the reason that a lot of people don't want to sit down with you is because they think you're going to try to sell them something? One of the best sales trainings I ever sat in, I could never do as good a job as this person, but I remember this person he was like, hey, when you get on the phone with somebody or when you walk into somebody's home, you represent a cost to people. You represent a cost to people. That's why they don't like you. But if you're good at what you do, through your rapport building and through your initial fact-finding stage of income assets, existing insurances, identifying the need, you're building your value. When your value gets bigger, their perceived cost, now you're not selling them, they're buying. They don't want the life insurance policy. They want what the life insurance policy does. You've done a good job at making sure that you communicated to them what this policy is going to do for them. I've done this training 100 times. Y'all know it better than I do, but I'm going to remind you. Based on the age and the health of the client, your life insurance policy that they can qualify for, it's either going to give their beneficiary money or time. And if y'all listen to me, please listen to me. Please listen to me. The majority of the coverages that you write in this mortgage market of today, we're not in the mortgage market of 2002. We're not in the mortgage market where inflated 22-year-old kids, 25-year-old kids with no money qualifying for 400. We're not in that market anymore. Typically, that you write, you're going to write more permanent coverages because you're going to be dealing with middle age. And when I say insurance middle age, I mean anywhere from 50 to maybe 70. But you're going to be 45 to 7. But you're going to be dealing with people that either you're going to plan on them dying or living. Always loved having the conversation with them about, hey, being that you're based on what you've told me about your health, you are insurable. Congratulations. Most 56-year-olds are not insurable. Most 68-year-olds are not insured. You're not like most people your age group. You are insurable. Now, if these really smart people called actuaries, if if they would approve you for an X policy, that means they don't think the probability is good that you're going to die. So, being that, why don't we plan on you living? So instead of falling in their trap and taking their term policy for 20 years, got it? You got it? 58-year-old, your term policy, yeah, like you're in good health. Let's plan on you living past 78. Let's do that. Just for kicks, let's plan on it. Okay, Miss Smith, are you on board with that, or are you okay? Or you tell me now in your heart of hearts. Want to put a policy in place that if he lives past 78, it's not going to have any value at all? Or do you want to put a policy in place that no matter how long, see, the actuaries don't want to put this policy in place. Yes, it's lower face amount, but it's guaranteed to pay out. Guaranteed to pay out. And so let's plan on you living. Let's put a policy in place that rewards you for living. Let's put a policy in place that no matter how long you live, it's going to pay out to your beneficiary. Okay. Here's what I'm saying. Okay. And I don't want, okay, here, the simplicity of it is this. You've got to get good at selling time as good as you are at selling money. Sit down with a 73-year-old and their only option in their affordability is a $12,000 whole life policy with Mutual of Omaha. And their whole idea of protection was to cover get this. Now, this is going to be the funniest thing I say all day. Now, y'all don't laugh too hard, but they're 73. They had a heart attack 6 years ago, but they think they're going to get a term that's going to cover their full mortgage for $62 a month. Isn't that the funniest thing in the world? So as a good field underwriter, you got to get really good at quickly tempering his expectation and letting him know. Because I've got to assume that's the way he thinks. And so before he says, see, if he says it and then I combat it, now I'm combating him. I've got to be smarter than that. So what I've got to do is I've got to take that objection and I've got to handle it as in, hey, Bob, I deal with a lot of people 68. And listen, they don't have their insurability, but even the ones who do, they think they're going to get a coverage in place that's going to cover a $300,000 mortgage for less than $150 a month. Let me just tell you, actuaries ain't going for that. Okay, that's not going to happen. But here's what the protection is for you. Okay. So it's not necessarily the amount of money that you're going to leave for your beneficiary, for Joan, okay? Or it's not the amount of money you're going to leave for your kids. Here's what your protection is going to do. Your protection is going to give your kids time so that they can get the most out of your your real life insurance policy. Do you understand? Do you follow me, Bob? And I know that he doesn't. But I say, Bob, do you know what your real life insurance policy is that you've got to protect? You've already got your life insurance policy in place. It's your mortgage. It's the equity in your home. And so, Bob, when you pass away, which likely is going to be several years from now, you're going to have built sizable equity in your home. And if your kids want to sell the property, they're going to sell it one of two ways. They're going to put it on the market. They're going to put the sign up, the for sale sign up the week of the funeral because they don't have any money. Bob, let me ask you, how your kids doing financially? They still borrowing money for? I got it. No need to say anymore. Okay, they're either going to put the for sale sign up the week of the funeral and they're going to try to fire sell the house because they don't have the money to make the mortgage payment. Okay, so they're going to fire sell the house and they're going to get what they can for it. And they're going to okay. Or why don't we put permanent coverage in place that no matter how long you live, it's going to cover X amount of mortgage payments so that when you pass away, you're making the mortgage payment for them from the grave for X amount of time, so that no matter what's going on in the mortgage world, no matter what's going on in the mortgage market, they've got the time to make sure that they sell your house in a position of strength, not a position of weakness. Do you realize what that could literally mean? Like six figures more for your kids than not put in place. Okay. So guys, do y'all understand that? Do y'all understand a lot of people think life insurance is money, and that's why they're so focused on face amount, face amount, face amount. But when you learn to sell time, all of a sudden now that $10 to $12 to $15,000 whole life policy, or that $25,000 UL policy with GPM, all of a sudden now that has big value, because to the insured, it makes them feel good. I'm doing something really good for my kids, and guess what? I can afford it because it costs less than $85 a month. So now I do want to mention the $85 a month. I don't care. Listen, here's what a bad field underwriter does. A bad field underwriter does not understand that the average mortgage protection policy in the United States of America, the average policy costs $85 a month. Okay, so what does that tell you? The average affordability of people that are buying homes is $85 a month. So if you're going to be a really bad field underwriter, you're going to be a quote engine. People are going to run you. You're not going to run people. People are going to be in charge of your sits. You're not going to be in charge of your sits. People are going to force you to be a quote calculator for them, and they want to know how much this is and how much that is. And the very moment you give them your figures, which I don't care what it is, I don't care what it is. When it's over $85 a month, I don't care what it is. Here's what you're going to get. Everything looks good, but we want to think about it. Okay. Here's what people are telling you. It doesn't look good. No way, Jose. I can't afford 165. Are you kidding me? All these forms I filled out, they're all scanned. They're trying to all say. I remember a lady I called. She lived in Ocean Ridge. Ocean Ridge is a subdivision off Highway 17. And I remember it was the man that filled out the form, but I remember that nobody ever answered the phone. And I just remember calling this lead and calling this lead. Finally, one day the lady answered. Remind me, before we end today, remind me to tell you what my voicemail script was, okay? And the story behind that, okay? So, but this lady, when I talked to her, I said, that introduced myself, John Kight, what all my own thing, whatever. And I remember she said, we would not be interested at all in that. And I went, so do you mind me asking why you filled out the form? Yes, my husband filled those forms out. And listen, we've already sat down with somebody. And listen, I don't know what y'all think people do, but like nobody can afford what y'all. And I went, that's really interesting. I said, because I've never met with anybody who couldn't afford protection. And I remember she flew off the handle like, are you kidding me? Like, we had somebody come by and they told us it was going to be $200 and some dollars to cover our mortgage, whatever. And I was like, well, all of my plans are around $85 a month. I said, I hate that you sat down. I more hate that you formed an opinion off of that one sit. I said, but I can guarantee you that, I don't know what type of health your husband's in, but I will just tell you, like, the plans that I put in place are around $85 a month. And I remember she booked an appointment and let me come over. The reason her husband wasn't there is her husband was the fix-it guy in the area. Her husband had retired, slim guy, pretty healthy. Okay, had a little bit of health issues, whatever. We end up having to write whole life, but he was everybody in the neighborhood loved it, because whenever they had something happen, they called him, and he didn't have anything to do. He didn't play golf. It was a golfing community. He didn't play golf, but he just went and fixed stuff, right? So he was a happy-go-lucky chap or whatever. So we sat there, and I remember I put the plan in front of him, and I showed him what it would cost. And basically, I put equity protection in front of them. And I basically, when I wrote out their figures, I wrote out the number of months that the coverage would play. And I let the woman know. I said, do you mind if I give you a 5-minute lesson on life insurance? And she went, please. She said, I would appreciate that. And I just basically talked to her about, so there's a coverage amount that you can pay for a certain benefit. There's a coverage amount that the insurance company puts in place. Okay, it's what it's going to cost you to basically cover. Okay, and then there's an amount that's not put by the insurance company, but it's the maximum amount of money that you could pay for life insurance. And do you know why the government would get involved in telling you the maximum amount of money you could pay for life insurance? Do you know that? Okay, well, the reason is because it's really good, and life insurance produces cash value. So the government, they're going to limit, they're going to have a they're going to have a modified endowment contract limit. They're going to have a MET limit, basically telling you the most amount of money that you can pay for life insurance. So that creates two types of life insurance. It's called temporary and permanent. Okay, so what most people know about life insurance is that it's a death benefit. It's got a certain limit to it and whatever. Okay, but there's a permanent coverage, and this is the great thing for people in your age group that's new mortgage owners. Okay, and that is, if your husband passes away, which let's just look statistically. Okay, and I remember he was in his late 60s, early 70s. But she was a couple of years younger. She was really spry, had a lot of energy, right? And you just she knew she was going to outlive him. But they had a beautiful home. They had just moved down from up north. And I just remember like creating in her mind that when her husband did pass away, that we're going to create a bucket of money that's going to give her time to figure out what she wanted to do. And I remember she sat there and she thought, like, it wasn't a negative, but she sat there really quiet for a while. And she said, nobody's ever really made me think about this. She says, but, maybe I would move in with my daughter in Charlotte. I remember her saying that. And I remember, I don't know, for me, it was always emotional for me when I took whatever skill level I had and I slowed down enough, and I wasn't trying to sell people so quick. I remember just the joy that I would get when I slowed down enough where I really got people thinking. That's when the value of these products really show themselves. Here's the funny thing about that sit. She complained to me on the phone that it was going to cost $200 something to protect her mortgage on a term. Okay, for him, it would have been a 10-year term. And I told her there wasn't but one carrier I would even submit it with. Okay, and I didn't think that they'd get approved. Okay, but I remember she kept asking me, she says, well, what would this cost? Well, if you did 3 years of coverage, what would that cost? She ended up, this is still on the books today. She ended up selecting it was like $245 a month for a whole life. And it was one of the highest whole life. I remember what she put in place. I mean, it was like going to protect her for a couple of years. If he passed away, she didn't have to think about what she needed to do for a couple of years. So anyway, that's just a story letting you guys know. Yeah, thank you, Lisa. She definitely saw the value there. Um, and then there was something else I mentioned. I've already forgotten. Oh, so my voicemail. Okay, now I know a lot of you guys are virtual. Maybe you can learn something from this. Maybe you can't. But I always left voicemails. This was confirmed one night. I was sitting with a couple. It was an older man and massively younger woman. Okay, I remember sitting there like I've never seen like this guy like he was. I think he was like in his 70s and she was, guys, if I remember right, maybe like late 40s. Now, don't get me wrong. They were the cutest couple. They had moved from Western North Carolina. They had moved to the beach. They lived in Carolina Shores. But I remember calling this person, calling. Well, I frequently left voicemails. And my voicemail, it always got callbacks because basically this was my voicemail. Hey, Mr. Bob, this is John Kight calling. I'm the field underwriter that got assigned to that request that you filled out and sent in on that mortgage you've got with Wells Fargo. Looks like it's 367,000. I'm the field underwriter that my job is to get that information to you. I'm going to be in your area probably on Monday and Tuesday of this week. I don't know if they'll have me come back out any other times, but Monday and Tuesday for sure. I can't get you on the phone, so just know that I'm going to stop by, going to introduce myself, get the information to you guys. I've got your address at, and I would tell them. So basically, the message I left them, they knew that I knew where they lived and they knew I was coming. I would let them know I drove a white car and that I would probably try to come sometime around 4 or 5 o'clock or whatever time I said. But I just remember I used to get a lot of callbacks. So I always left messages and I always laughed at these mortgage protection salespeople that never leave a message, never leave a message. Well, I remember sitting down with this couple. Again, he was in his 70s, she was in late 40s. And I remember writing this big life insurance policy, this whole life policy, because this guy was putting equity protection in place for his wife. And I remember while we were sitting there, his phone would ring, and then you would hear his answering service basically answer. And one of the calls was insurance agent calling about whatever the coverage or whatever. And so we were sitting there, and I remember the man looked at me and he smiled and he went, "Why are you sitting here?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "Because you, other than that guy that just called," he said, you the only one that left me a message." Really? He said, "Yeah." He said, "We sit here and we hear that phone ringing." He said, "We don't answer." He said, and we know, he said, because I got like 16 of them forms. I filled them all out. He said, so I know it's all you life insurance people calling me. He said, but he said, if they don't leave me a message, I ain't gonna call them. He said, you were the only one that left me a message. And I remember thinking, I'll be doggone. Like I was right. And that was I forgot how much it was, but it was a big whole life policy. And so you just never know about people. So don't think that leaving a voicemail, the right voicemail, is ever the enemy. Guys, I'm gonna tell you, I've had such a good time today teaching this stuff. I hope that it's been good for you. Okay. Whether you're brand new or whether you've been at this for a while, I hope that today has maybe reminded you of really the fun that you should be having in the field protecting your clients. But I love you guys. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we've got Barry Clarkson. Barry Clarkson tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Guys, I've never, ever, ever seen Barry as excited to grow Equus Financial that he is right now. I'm just telling you, I've never. Even back in the early years of growing Equus, I've never seen Barry Clarkson as committed as he is right now. I'm begging you guys, if you are in the distribution building business, You need to figure out whatever is holding you back. Just take care of it. Just take care. If it's money, go sell a policy. Okay. Take care of what you need to take care of, but you need to position yourself on the 31st and the 1st, that Saturday and Sunday, Friday evening through Sunday at noon. You need to position yourself at the Greenbrier. Guys, this training, this leadership is going to be phenomenal. And one of the biggest reasons I say that is because I've never seen Barry like he is right now today. Never seen that. Great time to grow your business. Love you guys. See y'all tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock.